Think of your line like your baby. Once your baby is in the world, you raise your baby and you give love and care to your baby as well as good nourishment in hopes that your baby becomes a decent person. And of course, life forcibly hits your baby with some unfortunate patch notes and now your baby is deformed. But that doesn't mean that you should cast your baby off just because you see it as unfit. That's the way of the Spartan. When you decide to Control-Z, erase, or undo anything of the sort, you are a Spartan. Not the cool ones from Halo, but the ones from Earth. But, oppression aside, I'm actually going to provide you with some tips that will assist you with better line creation that despite being a relatively new artist, I've been implementing and have been seeing great improvement. Now let's move on to tip number 1, which is rotate your drawing. When drawing a more comfortable line, comfortability is key. It's important to follow a hand motion that's the most comfortable to you. Let's demonstrate. I have this very wide circle here that looks to be in need of some presence. But the circle is vertical, which means that it's a tad bit more of a hindrance to draw this circle because it doesn't follow an easier and accessible movement pattern that my elbow supports, which is right to left or left to right. So instead of just brute forcing it and drawing the circle anyway, I will rotate the drawing to my liking and then draw the circle, which makes for an easier and smoother life. Tip number 2. Zoom in on your drawing. For this one, I will actually show you the demonstration first. First, I will draw the curve while I'm not zoomed in, and then I will draw the curve when I'm way more zoomed in. Do you see the difference? Most often, giving yourself a bigger space to cover makes you create a wider stroke, which plays into tip number 1. Having a wider range of motion with a wider field of motion gives you more room for being less accurate. Then the opposite, and having to be way more accurate, resulting in jitters that we see in the first one. Speaking of jitters, they should be removed if you utilize tip 3 correctly, which is draw with speed. Please don't confuse this for drawing fast, which is trying to do an entire drawing in the quickest time possible. What I mean by drawing with speed is that you should create your lines with faster movement. The faster movement makes much less room for jitter outside of just completely drawing the wrong way. But over time, you'll get better at it and way more accurate. And once your predetermined path for a line is set, you will be able to draw that entire line with much more speed than you had previously and get a more accurate line. Tip number 4, get comfortable. Give yourself some arm space, elbow space, and not just physical room either. Listen to some music, eat some snacks, do whatever makes you feel better. Giving yourself physical room will give you more access to ranges of motion, as drawing in a 2x2 foot box would be a little bit more of an issue than drawing in a 6x6 foot white room with a glass window that you can't see outside of. The comfort ensures that you'll draw easier. Giving yourself mental room just makes you happy, which is plenty important for ensuring good and accurate lines. Tip number 5. Have confidence in your lines. This take will be more of an opinion, but this is my 5-minute DDD sketch that I remastered in my last video. To represent the confidence that I had while making this drawing, I will be focusing on the right and left wings. The right wing was something that I barely implemented these tactics on. I barely zoomed in, I didn't even rotate, and the effects do show. The top of the wing is somewhat stable. I would say I did pretty alright there. But when I got to the vertical part, as I demonstrated in the first tip, if you rotate, you'll have a much easier time drawing, but I didn't. My hand died, and the line structure truly does show. Same goes for the bottom of the wing. Now, if we take a look at the left wing, this is something I actually implemented these techniques on. I zoomed in a lot, so I would have access to wider and longer strokes, and I rotated the image, so I would have an easier time actually drawing the lines themselves. I would get access to a better method of motion, and I drew these lines generally quick, because it was so easy. And I saw a much better result in the left wing than the right wing, even though it's technically his right wing. These tips aren't end-all solutions, but eventually you will get more accurate at drawing these lines and it'll be easier for you as your habits improve over time and will make you a better artist. Hopefully it helped. I'm not sure. It's my first time doing this. If you liked the video, please check out some of my other art-related videos. One of them is on screen right now. Thanks.